It's the Feature Crew with Jacob Braunschweiger, Chris Oslin, Dylan Hallew. And now, here's the Feature Crew.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Feature Crew Live. Today is March 20th, and I think it's our 8th episode of the live show. So
wow,
exciting times.
Almost double digits, getting there.
Yeah. I like to think we're getting better over time here. I just wanted to open by welcoming. We got Mark Mueller in chat, said he's the second like. Thank you for liking and engaging.
Sweet.
Definitely helps the stream and the channel. So thanks for joining. And we've got the Noble Rod. I recognize that name, so welcome back. Oh, and Dare Straber, I just saw you came in. Welcome back.
Legend. Dare Straber, the legend. Here every time. Amazing.
So we've got some, exciting stories to cover. It's not gangbusters week in AI news, but we've got Composer V2, we've got Lovable sort of general model, and some acquisitions, some smaller model releases. So fun stuff to talk about that I think will spark some interesting conversation. I should note that Dylan is busy right now. He's got a real tough work week. So Chris and I will be handling it, and that was part of the reason for the delayed start. We just had to figure out some scheduling stuff. So thank you guys for rolling with the punches here.
Absolutely. Well, the wheels are about to come off. Dylan is gone. It's time.
Yeah. Our joke in the crew here is that when Dylan leaves Chris and I alone, things get real crazy real fast. So we'll see what happens.
Let's start with some controversy. Let's kick it off with some fun stuff. So indeed, Cursor released their Composer 2, which they claim is their own internal model, and they say it's better than Opus 4.6 and that it costs a lot less. Press X to doubt on that, but that wasn't the controversy. The performance was not the controversy. Reviews have been fairly mixed. We should probably do one on the channel.
To pause on the performance thing, it's like this is performance on Cursor Bench, right?
Yeah. Right. It's their own test.
This is the test that they use in RL to determine the performance of the model as it was post training was the test that they're scoring it on here. So I don't doubt that it did better than Opus 4.6 on Cursor Bench. Now, if you did that across all coding benchmarks or tried to get a real world sense from people in addition to benchmarks, would that hold up? Would Composer 2 actually be better than Opus 4.6? That's where I'm pressing my doubt button.
Yeah. I mean, very fair. Initial feedback has been that, it's not. People aren't suddenly dropping their Claude subscriptions and going to Cursor.
But maybe we should try it on the channel. Maybe we should get a video out with a dedicated Composer test.
Yeah, why not? But the controversy was they sort of pitched this as, hey, we got this model. So anybody deep in the AI space knows there's no way they're training their own foundation model, right? You would know. There would be a lot of graphics cards utilization happening. There'd probably be a new power plant going up somewhere. So an enterprising account named Finn was messing around with the base URL in Cursor and caught a reference to Kimi, which, as we know, is most likely a distillation of Claude. And it's an open source model out of China. So Composer 2 is just Kimi. So he put this out, this theory, hey, I think it's just Kimi 2.5 with some RL on top.
Yeah, exactly.
And that prompted, I don't know his title here. This is their outreach guy. Lee Robinson posted, Composer 2 started from open source base. We will do full pre-training in the future. Only 1/4 of the compute spent on the final model came from the base. The rest is from our training. This is why evals are very different. And yes, we are following the licensing through our inference partner in terms. There's a controversy of could you do this and not label it very obviously as Kimi 2.5? They seem to think they could. And a later tweet here, Kimi clears that up. They seem to be okay with how Cursor operated here. But I wanted to just focus for a second on the controversy of like, when is a model named and how does one define it? Do we agree that there's sort of some shiftiness here that you kind of didn't make a model, guys? You kind of RL on top, I guess they'd say.
My perspective is like, I mean, I don't know if I take at face value that like they spent 3 times as much, like that their RL compute was 3x their post-training compute was 3x the pre-training compute. This is definitely possible, but like, I don't know. It doesn't it's not intuitively what I would have predicted. But when you are, using a base model, you generally say that, right?
Yeah.
And like, there shouldn't be any shame in saying that,
No. Well,
And
I
the
think
fact
the
that
part
they chose not to,
yeah, there's that, and then the part that like, oh, we're totally going to build our own model in the future. Like, no, you're not. Like, you straight aren't. You won't be able to get the compute. You won't be able to get the memory. Like, you will not. You will not be building your own model.
Well,
in a meaningful
Lee
way.
would say we spent 3x the compute we would need to have trained, on post training Kimi K2.5 to just pre-train our own. But this is why I'm like a little skeptical of that, because
But even Kimi couldn't train their own, right? Didn't they just distill Anthropic?
Well, they did train their own, but where did they get the data? Is the question.
Right.
But if you're saying, if they're saying like, actually, we could have increased the price of this whole operation by, 33% and had our own model from scratch, but we chose not to do that.
Right.
But then we also chose to hide the fact that we were training on top of a open source base model. This is where it's like the math isn't mathing for me, but
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. I don't believe that opening sentence of we're going to pre-train frontier models. Like,
no
okay,
shit.
Cursor.
Well, and also it's weird. Like, what's going to be your edge? You don't think Anthropic and OpenAI are pointing everything they have at coding right now? And everything they have is quite substantial, right? OpenAI especially. But what are you bringing to the table? I mean, it seems like the only things outside of the big labs is going to be moonshots, where you're just trying to go around the whole architecture that exists right now, or you're another country's model trying to compete, and maybe you have a bunch of infrastructure and aid there. But I don't buy that Cursor, even with all of their raises, could even fund the creation of a foundation model at this point. And Kimi cleared the air.
Maybe they could bootstrap. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
Maybe they could do it, as you were saying. Maybe they could do it if they were bootstrapping off of like the latest Anthropic model or something.
So Kimi responded saying, "Congrats to the team on the launch. Proud to see it. They accessed it via Fireworks AI HQ, which I'm not actually familiar with, and so they seem to have cleared the air that it's fine what they did and how they did it."
Yeah, Fireworks AI is like I've seen them before. They're like an inference and post-training platform, basically.
Okay.
And they're partnered, as I remember, the way I learned about them is because they were partnered with Microsoft in some way, like Azure AI Foundry.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I saw that somewhat recently. Let me see if I can get some more information on that.
I'm certain I could not comment on any Microsoft thing. If anybody ever wonders why there's conspicuous lack of Microsoft, it's because I just can't comment. I don't have clearance for one, and the channel has not grown quite far enough to pay all the bills yet. So
I'll
hot
comment.
Microsoft days. Yeah.
Sorry.
Jacob can comment, and I will not listen for a few minutes. You all can enjoy. So do you want to go to so options next are we have Lovable and Cursor had some other release. Cursor had a different release. Lovable had a big release this week that caused a lot of controversy. Or there's the biggest vague post from Paul Graham, former head Y Combinator, which I had next. Do you want to go to a vague post?
Go to a vague post. Let's get a little fun in here.
Anything made before 2028 is going to be valuable, and OpenAI implicitly disclosing their timetable. Obviously, I have no knowledge of an OpenAI timetable, but this one got all the way around Twitter. People were like, what does that mean? Is that what's going on? It caused a lot of analysis. Is that like anything made in AI before 2028? Is that when we're talking, the blackout factory of research, right? You're just like, all right, send these things on automatic researcher. We're good to go. So there was rampant speculation. One of the speculations was that was OpenAI's target. And this is all completely horribly sourced. So do not take this as anything other than rampant gossip on the internet, which it is. OpenAI's target year for full automation for AI R&D, the year when Amazon's commitment to invest $35 billion in OpenAI expires unless OpenAI reaches AGI. Don't know if that's true. I don't know the terms of the deal. But people just immediately all across Twitter started trying to analyze, what does Paul Graham mean here? What is this actually going on? I think the first part is probably most accurate. That like, okay, if you start to think about how good we are at coding right now, the intelligence growth of the models, you could see a meaningful percentage, if not the vast majority of AI R&D being done in an automated fashion. I could buy that. I don't know about the contractual stuff.
And it does feel pretty close to automating like is AI R&D that different from software development in general, right? Like right. And so it doesn't feel at this moment like we're that far off from, we're not there. We're absolutely not there yet, but we're pretty close to automating the entire software development life cycle. Yes. And by this, what I mean is that there are agents that can run all the time, and they can set up all these, like, people always talk about like coders are dead, right? But like coding is a very small percent of what like an engineering force that is supporting some application or some company actually does, right? It's like, they're deciding on architecture, they're building the systems that validate the code, they're building the telemetry, they're looking at the telemetry. If you're in roles other than engineering, that you're like decision making on what should be done next, talking to customers, all that kind of stuff. And like, while AI can, like, sure, you can have your OpenClaw go talk to customers, like are they going to actually respond to some AI? Or is like the main point is, when we get to a point where an AI can autonomously build not just the app, but the system around the app that allows it to see how people are using the app, and then based on these like quantitative metrics, like what needs to be done to make the app better, and then can see if the things that it chooses to do actually make the app better, that flywheel is going to be insane. Like, it's going to be able to operate at speeds that humans just, it's going to destroy humans pretty quickly. Yeah,
we've spoken a couple times in the live shows now about how we're in the state of the plumbing getting hooked up. So it's just like, okay, can I see real-time telemetry on the website I just pushed? Can every time a bug gets filed or a user complaint gets noted, can it get summarized and sent to an agent to improve? Do you have this sort of beginning of self-healing software where, like, okay, agents are constantly penetration testing it, they find flaws, they report the flaws, they start getting fixed? That feels very this year. And so to your point, okay, if that's all stood up this year, then how far really are we from great, given the same idea? Because for the audience, if folks haven't been on the live streams, about one of the things you need to get the AI to do something very well is, how do I measure my success? How do I know when I'm done? How do I know when I'm doing something badly, right? Like, I guess that's related to one, measuring success. And so if it can automatically view metrics, if it can see reports, part of the reason coding is such a valuable domain right now is, you start off with some pretty basic stuff, right? Can it compile? Does it run? Can it see the terminal? Now we're getting to like, can it see the browser? And now what we're talking about is, can it see signal from across your ecosystem of services you have hooked up, or endpoints you have, or user feedback channels? And that we're real close on that. So I buy that. And Paul Graham goes on to say, this was after I mentioned the idea of buying rare old things as a hedge, since one thing AI won't be able to do is go back in time. I don't put too much weight on the specific year, but the shape of the idea is interesting. So keep buying Pokemon cards, I guess. I don't know.
And just before we move too far ahead, Durstraber in chat said, like, if you're doing distillation, that you can't really complain if they distill off of you.
Yeah, pot calling the kettle.
Right, that's fair.
Yep.
I mean, it at the end of the day, it's all just like terms of service, right? Like
Right.
there is like a legal framework for this, right? And so Anthropic will say like you can't train competing models with data from Anthropic's APIs. That's part of their terms of service, and so that would be the. I mean, I don't know. It's not really the logic they use because there's a logical response that is like, well, you used all the data on the internet
Right.
to train your models.
Yeah.
So suddenly the stuff that comes out of your models is protected and can't be trained on. Like I understand the sort of logical fallacy there, but like the legal framework is that they can protect things. You know, it's sort of a gray area of training on the entire internet, and then but they can put their model outputs in like not a gray area. Say these are the terms of service of using our service, and then you can do the same thing. Like Kimi does the same thing in their license, right? So the question was, like it seemed like what Cursor was doing with Composer was violating the Kimi terms of service, and there were folks who worked on, or the Moonshot, I guess, terms of service, and then the Kimi folks were like talking about this on Twitter, and they all deleted their posts. And it seems like the lawyers talked, as Chris said, and there was it turned out that it was not a license violation on the Kimi model because they were doing this through a inference partner that Moonshot / Kimi had exempted from those licensing terms and set up a different legal framework with that inference partner. So, I mean, that's not interesting, but
do you really want to do discovery about how your model was made? Right? Like, do you really want to go down this track of like, well, how much are we going to have to disclose about how Kimi came to be?
Right. And just because Josh River again was like talking about Cursor over Kimi. Yeah. Like I totally understand what you're saying. It's more just like, I don't like the logical argument. I don't think there's a clear logical argument, but the legal argument would have been that, you know, Moonshot / Kimi protected themselves from this sort of not from distillation as a concept, but from distillation without credit based on their license that they released the model with. So, I mean, it's not logical. Like I get what you're saying. Oh, if you distilled off somebody else, especially in violation of their terms of service, like then you should probably not be able to protect other people. But the legal framework is such that that's how they set it up.
Absolutely.
Don't necessarily agree. Just that's what they did.
All right. Well, there we go. We've weighed in on the vague posting on Twitter and the legal complexities of the open source models. Do you want to go to Lovable?
Yeah, let's do that.
So many have decried the death of Lovable on the back of this, and I don't know if we need audio for this. I'll just sort of give a taste. They
from idea to project to done.
Have you seen this yet?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
That was
So Lovable famously was a site for like a Squarespace compete, right? Make a quick website with a coding agent, and now they're saying we can do it all. It's the everything input box. And many jokes were made on the internet that this is what happens when you raise a ton of money and realize that your niche is too niche. Now you're trying to compete with everybody, right? Now you're trying to be the everything app, like all the model providers are.
You know, in some way, not that I'm like, I'll take the other side on this. Like, because it was already to me like, okay, Lovable as a company, like, how do you compete with, like, there are already all these questions about like Cursor as a company. How do you compete with like the labs or the GitHub Copilot, right? And Lovable had an even more intense version of that question where like, if you're kind of finding your niche as these like consumers making software, like non-technical people making software, right? Then like, how are you going to compete with the quote real coding agent platforms?
Right.
And so I actually see this as like a really interesting pivot because for a long time, like about a year ago, I ran a bunch of experiments where I was like noticing that the coding agents were like getting really good. And I was like, well, like information work is like not so different than software engineering from like a like first principles standpoint, right? Oh, you have a bunch of files in a folder. You need
Still
to
good
understand
sunscreen,
them
yeah.
all, understand semantically how they all relate, and then be able to edit them, create new ones, update, and maintain those semantic relationships. And so it's like I ran some tests where I made a directory that was like just like a fake business, basically a fake company in all their files, and opened that in, I think it was GitHub Copilot at the time.
We actually ran a few of these tests on the channel where we said, like,
Yeah.
okay, given all this, build a
Yeah.
business plan. Yep.
And then let it gave it some information work tasks, and it was like pretty good.
Yeah.
And so to see, this was like the whole insight behind something like Claude Cowork. It was like
Yeah,
use
right,
the same
right.
stack that we've built. And I had an opportunity last week to like talk to a couple of like code like engineers who work on Codex, and so I was like kind of asking them like, okay, like, oh, we've seen that there are these general agent platforms like something like it was Operator, then it was ChatGPT Agent,
Right.
and then there is Codex on the OpenAI side. And Codex is like, obviously its code is in the name, but then you see people on Twitter using Codex as basically like the runtime, or Claude Code, right? Like these top coding agents as basically like the runtime for just any agent. Oh, Remotion comes out. Let me use Codex to be my video editor, right? And so Lovable has this interesting standpoint where like they've already done a bunch of work to like make it good for non-technical people. Their interface looks much more like ChatGPT than it looks like, VS Code or something like that. And so it is an interesting pivot for them that I think could serve them very well. Sort of the stay alive thing.
Yeah, I can't help but see it as a stay alive move, because on the one hand, I'm like,
Oh, it
yes,
is.
I agree with you that there's going to be a lot of value in, and I think a lot of the AI tech community underestimates how terrifying like Git and IDEs and even code in general is. So obfuscating that from the user makes sense. To your point, that's how Cowork started going. And like, it's amazing, in at least in my friends, family, coworkers group, the people started to feel the magic when they could use Cowork, simply because they just have this mental block of like, I don't do code, right? And so suddenly it's like, oh, I can give it a folder. I know what a folder is. Like, I have a folder of stuff. Here's all my receipts, or here's all my books I downloaded, or whatever, academic papers. And they could feel the AGI a lot more. So there is an opportunity there. I don't buy that Lovable's market penetration is anything remarkable compared to ChatGPT's 800 million users. And so I have trouble seeing them win the game of consumers in AI. We talk about on the channel all the time that for most people, the only AI company that exists is ChatGPT, right? They just call it chat.
Right, it's chat. Yeah.
And so unless you're an enterprise where, to Anthropic's major credit, that's taken off. Claude Code and Claude Cowork and enterprise have been huge, and forced allegedly OpenAI to start having a red alert meeting again, or whatever. This meme happens every few months, but to try to figure out how to compete there. But I have trouble seeing how Lovable beats out I don't think this is a Canva moment where like Photoshop too complicated, Canva comes out, because Canva sort of got to ride the wave of new types of content getting released, and this is all stuff the models can already do, and it just requires OpenAI to package it a certain way, and they're going to, right? Gotta assume.
Yeah.
So stay alive. It makes sense for them to do it. I guarantee the amount of people wanting to make websites is less than they would hope. Like, I don't meet a lot of people going around in my daily life who are like, God, you know what? I just need to make a website. I mean, a lot of people that want to be YouTubers or want to make content or any of that stuff. Sure.
Yeah, but if you're in that world, you're non-technical. But like,
right,
if you're like facing down the I'm gonna make a YouTube channel, like at population scale, you're basically technical. Even though you're not I don't know, you're not a SWE at some big company, but like you are willing to like fiddle with.
You're a digital native as the marketing
person. Yeah, sure. But then in that frame, I think it makes a lot of sense, right? It's like, I always felt like, the consumer, like if Lovable was going for like the Wix market, like I don't know how big that is, but pivoting over to like the just sort of like, if they can be a Canva or a G Suite or something like that. Seems like
Yeah.
maybe better for them. But then again, like I'll caveat that with it seems like a stay alive thing because there are a bunch of other incumbents and these and new startups that have been in information work longer than Lovable, and so we'll see how that all shakes out.
Well, and I think there was a very in the weeds Dwarkesh episode that just came out with the semi-analysis guy, and
Yeah.
one of the things they said that I think should unnerve people like Lovable is these companies live at the pleasure of the model providers, right? If they suddenly decide to cut you off, you're dead. There's not like that's why you see Cursor doing this stuff and trying to. It's because they have this liability. But
Yep.
he said that the vast majority of token spend is on either the latest model, or in the case of like an Opus, it'd be on the Sonnet, right? But you're not going backwards. So like all of your revenue is coming from your latest model release because there is still a big enough gap that people aren't going backwards in the models a lot unless you're running an application that's doing certain AI calls. Like you might not, if you were running something that was summarizing call logs or something, you probably don't want to be spending the cost to do the latest Sonnet model or 5.4 on OpenAI. You might want to go down the stack, but most people are just cranking tokens on the latest, greatest model. And that's scary for these folks, right? Because all they'd have to do is go, well, for this model, you know, our hardware setup is such that we can't offer as much via the API anymore right now, or we can't offer these partnership deals.
Yeah, and then on top of that, so there's two layers. There's that, and then there's, well, I guess there's three. There's that, and then there is like, well, even if the model providers are, serving the models to their competitors on the application layer, they still get to take the profit margin on the API profit margin, right?
Yep.
So even if they are there, that's great. But then if you're like, okay, you're trying to compete, you're trying to starve them out. The model providers are also these labs that are getting funded out the wazoo. They're doing like $100 billion rounds. This is insane, and it lets you subsidize usage. It's like sort of the Rockefeller era again of like you your competitors.
Right.
This is what's going on right now, where you'll see like I asked ChatGPT because like I was running just so many Codex requests today.
Yeah.
And I asked ChatGPT like, do some napkin math, do some research in napkin math for like how much could you burn on like a $20 subscription, a $200 subscription if you were like a heavy user. And it was like talking on the order of like thousands of dollars,
Yeah,
month.
totally.
And so it's like we're talking about like 10, 100x subsidy. This is insane. Like you're at 100x subsidy, you're just 2 orders of magnitude away from being profitable. That's crazy. But obviously that's like at the market, at population level, not everybody is consuming that much. But that ability to subsidize allows for basically what's going on right now, which is on Twitter. You'll see people being like, Cursor, I used it for a few hours and then I ran out of credits. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm not a Cursor fanboy by any means. You can look at the channel history, but I'm like, yeah, but like from the Cursor perspective, like they are subsidizing you, just they're not subsidizing you as much.
Yeah. They still have to make some money. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I mean, the other
it's gonna be really hard.
The other fun fact that came out of that interview that might be worth talking about is maybe buy a backup iPhone, because like the scale at which both memory, CPU, GPU requirements for the models as we get bigger and bigger and start to talk in gigawatts and 10 gigawatts, and you have all this. I don't want to rehash the technicalities there too much, but the consequence is that Apple goes from the largest customer to just another customer. And so suddenly they don't get to control. They don't get to be like, oh, okay, cool. We get the lion's share of the chips and we get to reserve 40% of your capacity. Oh, so sorry, we only needed 30%. Go sell that other 10%. That if you're TSMC, right, you're like, oh, well, you went from being the guy to now you're just another buyer. And within a couple of years, you won't even be the biggest. And so
completely agree. Like it over the last decade, basically, like the main compute growth has already been cloud over
Right.
personal devices. But personal devices were a big enough share that
Yeah, it's going to
a
win
company
volume,
like
now,
Apple,
which is
a
crazy.
company like Apple could still be like at the top of the list of
Yep.
the production queues at TSMC. Now, that might not be the case anymore, as Chris is saying.
Right.
And-
They're saying within a couple of years, you're talking that they're second, third, fourth. And you're like,
Right, because then you've got Google, Amazon, Microsoft,
NVIDIA.
maybe OpenAI's own SoC, Tesla's SoC, whatever. Like they're trying to, or SpaceX, whatever. Like they're trying to build out all these, like they're hyperscaling and they're growing at just unprecedented rates.
And that doesn't even touch the
demand.
memory part of that. Like, go try to buy memory for your
Mhm.
desktop computer right now and tell me how much of a reverse mortgage you did to pull that off. And that's so you can see. I mean, they were talking in the interview. iPhone prices could go up $200 on the high end, $250 on the high end, right? And just how many of them can you even get? Right, is an
Right.
interesting question. Like we have just begun to see the shift in compute allocation, and it's just going to ramp from here. So, yeah, maybe buy a backup iPhone. Pro tip today: get one in reserve, because even if you have Apple Care, you might not be getting a device in your hand in a few years. This is not investment advice. I am not a trader. Don't caveat galore. Okay. On the idea of releases,
pausing.
Yeah.
Okay, you had a good transition in mind, but Josh Trevor in chat was saying marketing looks like it will become a loop of using AI to please AI that determines page rank.
Well, someone was talking about that. It's fascinating because they were saying if you assume users aren't touching the IDE or going into the files and they're just saying like, make me a website, you do shift your marketing strategy or your content strategy or your SEO strategy to, I don't know what the acronym here would be like, but it's AI SEO, right? Like, what is the default stack the AI biases towards? And that will have a disproportionate impact on your future revenue if you're a service provider, if you're a Versal, if
Yep.
you're an Azure, if you're an AWS.
Because enough people are saying, I'm going to go make a purchasing decision. Let me go check with ChatGPT.
Well, or just make me I want to host my website. Go. Well, what does it pick? Right.
Right.
What does it default pick to? And so, what are the strategies to influence one way or another? Do you flood the internet with positive articles about your hosting service? Do you like? There's going to be this arms race of what are the defaults the AI picks when the user doesn't specify. Users could, of course, still specify, but as everybody in UI design knows, the default is the law, right? Number one most used notes app in the world, despite probably not being the best, is Apple Notes, right? Number one browser on mobile is going to be your default browsers, right? Default browser on an Android phone, default browser on an iPhone. No matter how good you make Arc or whatever else.
Right, and we're talking about like orders of magnitude difference in usage.
Oh, yeah, not close.
Yeah.
Not close. Every time someone talks about another browser, just assume like barely a state's worth of people use it or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
That's why it was crazy to me that OpenAI tried to make that Atlas thing.
I think all of those browsers are dumb. I do. I think Perplexity's was dumb. I think OpenAI's was dumb. They're going to cut it allegedly, right? They're starting to trim.
Oh, and that's what we said when it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, what was the value add? Like, most people just aren't unhappy with their browser, right? And most people would expect, especially when you've pitched this thing. Part of the problem with AI is you have pitched it as the grand, glorious, mega mind genius. And given that, you're like, well, just use the stuff I have if you're so smart.
Yep,
My intern could do that. Like, why can't you? Oh, great physics solving supermodel, right? The model providers can't have it both ways. If you're pitching the greatest intelligence ever, you can't then be like, well, actually, it doesn't know how to open your browser and use it. Well, that seems far more mundane than solving new physics. And we could get into why that is, but from the user's point of view, it is a confusing thing.
They were trying to do like the cursor thing, I guess.
Yeah.
If the idea is like, hey, you can offer some experience that's so much better than the thing that you forked.
Right.
But yeah. Anyways, but it didn't seem like it worked out.
Well, on the topic of releases that probably aren't going to work out, Cursor gets to double dip here.
Wait, again, before we move on, Coastal says for some reason OpenAI Atlas was forbidden to download files. I didn't even know that. Is it? That would be
wild.
insane if it was true.
That's probably some. We need Dylan. Where's our AI guy, our responsible AI guy, telling us why, as a security best practice, that would be there.
Yeah, I guess it is RAI.
So
That's what it
Cursor
said.
is giving early preview to Glass.
Oh my god, that's a sign of death of the company, by the way.
I knew there'd be a strong take on Lovable or Cursor. All right.
No,
But,
I
like-
just from me, you mean?
Yeah. There's one of these was gonna get you. And this is the UI. And I gotta.
No,
agree
but
with
you're
you,
not
man.
in the Glass preview.
This is a photo of the Glass preview.
But what is Glass about that?
It's just, I mean, it's called Glass. I mean, I got
No.
other
That's a
screenshots
separate
of it.
tweet. No. That's a separate tweet.
No, this is the Glass UI.
No. That's a joke. I think. Go back.
I don't think it is, man.
Is it real? Yeah, but there's just no way, right?
Yeah, we could try pulling it up live on stream. Give it a shot.
Yeah, but look, it says we're sharing an early alpha, right?
Yeah.
So like, are
But I'm
those
telling
people
you,
actually in the alpha?
Yeah. Let's see. Download Cursor
Let's
update.
see it.
I'll
Let's
pull
see
it
it.
up, man. Let's go.
This is the benefit of the live. While you do this,
Yep.
I'm gonna get water because I need it bad. I'll be right back.
All right, I'm gonna stop sharing for a sec. So I'm gonna switch windows here. And I love you all, but I don't trust you if you see some of my credentials. We shall find out together. But I'm pretty sure we're getting like a Codex style app out of this.
How's it going?
I just gotta patch it quick. And then yeah, we can
Take a look.
see.
But anyway, anyways, this is a silly exercise regardless. While you're getting this loaded, I just like if you're saying, "Hey, we have a new UI language," and that's our,
Yeah.
that's our big pull. It's like, okay,
Well, and I think if you're gonna call it Glass, people are gonna think of Liquid Glass, and I'm expecting like
well, they're obviously doing liquid glass.
it sure as heck visually doesn't look like it yet. Maybe the visuals aren't done. Designers, we can be slow.
Yo, Giorgio's in the chat. Giorgio,
Heck
welcome.
yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
All right, allegedly it finished. Let's see if I pull it up quick. And then after that, we got some more exciting stuff. Got some DoorDash controversy that popped up. I'll take the pro on that one. I think DoorDash might be the wrong company to do it. Somebody's gonna make money doing that. Okay.
For anybody who
let's-
doesn't know, Giorgio is a friend of the channel. Friend
yes.
of me. I don't know.
Okay, open Cursor. Let's try.
Let's see it.
Early access. Try now. New window.
Berkut is back. Welcome back, Berkut.
No, those screenshots are true.
Whoa, wait, seriously?
I'm not kidding with you.
But
They
where's
are.
the glass?
This
Because it doesn't
is-
look
this is-
anything
this
like the
is
little
called
logo
Cursor
they
Glass.
had.
I agree. I understand. I'm just telling you, this is when you press the button and you go early access. This is indeed what you see.
I'm not seeing the glass.
Plan, new idea. Let's just say make.
Wait, make sure it's on Composer too. This is and we're doing a Composer 2 test. Oh, that's not an option.
It is.
Okay, good.
So you'd be like, okay.
Do you want to grab one of the normal tests? Just
Yeah,
it's
sure.
easy.
Should we do Planet?
Yeah, do Planet. Featurecrew.io/prompt/planet/v1.tx or v2, whichever one you want.
Prompts plural.
Prompts, yeah, plural.
Underscore V1.
No, /v1. Oh wait. Yeah, /planet/v1.txt. Unless if there are other requests in the chat for what we should run right now.
All right, I just got to remove that one HTML file line, I think. Yeah, don't need a single HTML file.
Oh yeah. V2 would have been the better one for that, but whatever.
I can do it. We can do it right now.
Yeah, do it. Grab it. Because V2 is made for a repo. And we'll see. This is a moment of truth. All right. 1, are we going to see more glass? 2, are we going to see good results from Composer 2? Okay. Immediately not seeing more glass. Do we want to move on to the next tab while this runs, and then we can come back?
Yeah, I think we've teased it. Now we'll see how we can intro it. But let me switch on over. And let's see. That one should have glass. There you go. Okay, so another thing that took the internet by storm, sorry for the blinding white light here, introducing DoorDash tasks, right?
Sorry, Georgius. In chat. Become God, no mistakes. Classic.
And so tasks are a new way for Dashers to earn on their own terms beyond delivering for businesses to know more about what's happening on the ground. They're framing it as businesses need to know what's actually on their shelves, whether the layout of another location has changed. But getting this information can be hard. It's one way we spent over a decade solving. And so look, like Twitter took this by storm and immediately took it to like, oh my God, this is how they're going to do human tasks for AI. Which I will take the pro on, which is I think it's
been on this for a long time.
A few times. This has been my pitch that someone will make a lot of money, and there's a few other startups trying this now too. A lot of money eventually offering tasks like Quest style system of like, go do this thing, because there's a whole class of data that isn't on the internet, that isn't easily followed, that an AI might suddenly determine is relevant. And it might be weird. It might be really weird stuff, like go put a webcam on a rotting tree in your yard because you live in a certain biome, and that completes some data set that helps us solve some new problem. It could be everybody taking a photo of their toilet so that the AI can start having models. There's all of these worlds where that information isn't really out there. And this is what DoorDash is pointing at, right? Like,
yep.
Suddenly you have competitive intel as a service here. Like I can't query your API, but I could go take a photo of your shelf. Like they're showing the photos here and they're framing it as like, oh, well, ABC corporate might want to see this. Yeah, but ABC's competitor might want to see it too, right? And so you start having, and like right now, these are probably human assigned, blah, blah, blah. But in an agent first economy, you're like, there's going to be all kinds of stuff. Do you get paid money to go strap a webcam to your backpack and walk through certain parts of the wilderness? Like Google kind of had that with maps, but now how much can a frontier model see if you're showing corners of the forest that no one's seen or hasn't mapped, or discovering new plant species by just taking a lot of photos of plants in this mile radius? You're going to get stuff like that. That is absolutely coming. So I think DoorDash saw that coming, and they're trying to stay a straight human-esque in this, but I think hard to find data sets, filling in the gaps of hard to find data sets will be a very viable worker on-demand business model.
Permanent underclass.app.
For the best.
Berkut says exploring the dark forest together. Yeah.
It's just, you know,
exactly.
Runningman.app.
Hansel.Gretel. Yeah.
Videotape yourself actually taking candy from the witch in the woods.
And, you know, Jared Straber said in chat that Pokemon Go could do this. There was actually a bunch of...
Yeah, there's controversy on that. They're selling the Pokemon Go data.
Yeah, they're actually doing this. and yes, there was a bunch of controversy about that this week. Yeah, now, what they should do is pivot to like, we'll put a Pokestop here. You know,
right?
I mean, I guess that was already what they were doing. They were doing it from like a driving foot traffic perspective back in the day, but like now it could be like a drive specific data capture. You know,
Right. This is the same. I think the hard part about a company like Niantic doing this is now you've burned all your goodwill. So you can't just suddenly be like, hey, here's our new game. Definitely just a game. Definitely just play it. And
yeah, but at the end of the day, like what percent of Pokemon Go players are like paying attention to that or care?
I don't know, man.
That
This stuff
story?
goes viral immediately on the internet because Pokemon's so hot right now. So this
Sure,
will make
sure.
it to your TikTok videos, your Instagram reels.
But as Der Straber said, there's a Pikachu behind the can of beans. Like you want that Pikachu.
Yeah, he raises a good point. I can't knock it too much. That is indeed possible. Okay, all right. Glass came back. I'll hop to that. Oh, wait, no, not presentation. Jesus. Bad Riverside. Okay, so we put it in plan mode. It's got a plan for a procedural 3D planet, 3JS plus simplex noise. That's probably real tiny for everybody. Let me try to pull that up a little bit. That didn't help.
Is this just the plan? Or did it do it?
Just planned it.
Oh, wait, so then kick off the implementation while we review the plan. Because we're not gonna give it feedback, right?
The official policy of the Feature Crew channel is to YOLO every project and see what happens.
Make it 100x better, no mistakes. Or as Giorgio said, become God, no mistakes.
Yeah. That's like all the Twitter experiments where they're like, this model could just trade stocks for me, right? And then it loses all their money. You're like,
yeah.
Turns out agentic harnesses matter. You can't just point this thing in a database. Like, if it was that easy, Bridgewater would have done it already. Whatever Renaissance was doing was not that. Or at least not that simple version of it. So it's off and building. We could start.
Dude, you said Renaissance. We're about to devolve. We're about to ruin Dylan's night.
No, I can keep it. I can keep it above board. Hang on.
I don't know if I can. Okay, continue.
I suppose the other AI news was Anthropic had that big study, right? Where
yes. It was like 80,000 people or something. They asked, "What do you actually want out of AI?"
Yep. So I'll share that quick. Well, Cursor Glass keeps shining. I don't know what the metaphor.
Not shining.
Not shining specifically. Yeah.
Specifically not reflecting or refracting anything. But the logo for Cursor Glass was
so far Jacob has moved beyond words at Cursor Glass. Got it.
No, I mean any glass thing. I was like, okay, the liquid glass thing pissed me off a little bit when they announced it because it just seemed like bad UI. Like it was like the readability went down. And so it was like, okay, so you're trading usability for like a cool moment of, oh, we have a new thing. And then I saw some Apple designer post something on LinkedIn that was like, in these trying times where we're so divided, like it's so great to work on something like liquid glass that can like unite people. And I was like, okay, you're claiming to have saved the world with liquid glass? Like, I can't.
Well, hey, Mother Nature's on their board, as their ads have taught me. So by default,
right.
Anything you do has Mother Nature.
And Timmy Apples is scared of her.
As he should be. Okay, what do 81,000 people want from AI? Last December, tens of thousands of Claude users around the world had a conversation with their AI interviewer. So we're already doing human data collection to share how they use AI, what they dream it could make possible, and what they fear it might do.
Is the animation on the globe smoother for you than it is for us?
Yeah, is it super chunky for you guys?
It was, but that one, when it just panned back to the US, was actually a little bit smoother.
Yeah, this is very overly designed in a classic Anthropic fashion.
Der Straber says, united in hating liquid glass. Yes. Yes, we can all unite around that.
Okay, you got some quotes of like, hey, it can get me out of poverty. It can Claude helped find a diagnosis after being misdiagnosed. This is what you actually hear a few times, which when family members were asking me like, when will AI make medical breakthroughs? I was like, it actually doesn't need to make net new experimentation to do that. It just has such an ability to do horizontal search in a way that no doctor could, that you're going to have moments like this already.
Well, I can also run sims. Like a lot of biotech like starts as sims.
Yeah, but this stuff, it doesn't even need that. It's just, hey, I have all these test results and inputs, and my doctor couldn't have possibly read all papers.
Yeah. There are multiple layers to this, right? But
Yeah.
it's like, it can do like a lit review, like nobody's business already. And
Yeah.
then like the at scale sim/digital experimentation thing is just like kind of happening now. Then there are the
Totally.
bespoke models like AlphaFold that are making contributions to biology, sort of independent from this whole revolution. And yeah, there's a bunch of axes, I guess is what I'm saying, on which the AIs can accelerate biotech, pharma research without being an end-to-end cancer-solving model, right?
Yes, right. So now we get to a bit of the alarm. These are just the pull quotes. Got laid off from my job in May because my company wanted to replace me with an AI system. Humanity has never dealt with something smarter than itself. We need to reflect on how to prepare for the AI age. Across interviews, hope and alarm didn't divide people into camps so much as coexist as tensions within each person.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long scroll. All right, let's see. Is that the first chart? Oh, okay, yeah, it kicked me way down there. All right. What people hope for: professional excellence, personal transformation, life management, time freedom, financial independence, societal transformation, entrepreneurship, learning and growth, creative expression. So, very work framing, which, to be fair, the downside to this study is these are Claude users, right? And so I don't think this chart looks the same for OpenAI. That'd be my bet. Claude is a very work-focused like company right now, right?
Enterprise. And is OpenAI your Gen Pop?
Yeah, 800 million users. I mean, who's like TikTok is where you have to go.
Because I would say like Claude is the Android. Because it's definitely.
Well, but Android had more headsets, right? Android, so it's not a perfect analogy, right?
What do you mean?
There's more Android phones in the world than there are iPhones. It's just that iPhones have the purchasing power, so everybody devs for them first. So it's a little like OpenAI would almost be Android in that case of like OpenAI.
Well, they would be Google. Yeah. It would be Google, but not. Yeah, I'm more talking about vibes and how Android was like the people in a country where, like in the US, where iPhones were dominating. Yeah. It was like, okay, who's advocating for the Androids, right?
Android was the.
It's like customization. I'm kind of like sort of technical. I want to. In my experience in the tech industry, I've had like a fair few.
I think a weird analogy for me is OpenAI is Uber and Anthropic's Lyft before Lyft kind of exited the scene. But at their peak, it was like Uber clearly had more market share. They were more tenacious in a business sense, and they were going faster. But Lyft had better vibes.
The difference would be like Lyft was the one that you like looked at for. Also, better vibes is a hard statement to make, right? It's like different vibes.
Yeah, more humanist vibes or friendly vibes, right? Which is very much Anthropic.
Friendly.
Yeah.
But then Lyft had like this, like maybe it'll be cheaper, right? Or like somehow it'll be cheaper and we'll pay our drivers more or something like that, which does sound a lot like Anthropic. But Anthropic isn't cheaper. Anthropic is more expensive.
More expensive.
Always.
Yeah.
And they take a bigger profit margin on their API.
So our metaphors are failing us, but sufficient to say Anthropic's audience is more professional leaning. So professional excellence showing up as number one is not surprising. Whereas I suspect OpenAI would probably invert, like 2 might be 1, 3 might be 2, professional excellence might be 3. It makes sense they're in the top 3. I think that the position of them would shift, is my take.
Mm-hmm. And then Der Straber says he hopes professional excellence does not mean talk like LinkedIn, which
but it does.
I mean, it could. There are a bunch of other elements of professional excellence, but then it's funny because I saw like this going around Twitter where like a couple posts where it was like some people were saying oh, somebody made a Google Translate from like a clone of Google Translate, but one of the languages was LinkedIn Speak. So it would be like,
Yeah.
oh, I just took a huge shit. And it would be like, oh, I just participated in a lightening of my workload. Or
As I sat
something
for my
like that.
morning reflection, I was reminded how important on time and regular deliveries are to our customers,
Yeah.
and how much of effort, how much of a push it takes for the internal teams to get there. But it's all worth it when you deliver on time and completely. This is what happens when Dylan leaves the podcast. But okay, hopes around professional excellence, personal transformation, life management. Not all that surprising. They have definitions here: improve effectiveness and lean into more meaningful work by having AI handle routine tasks. Personal transformation, achieve personal growth, emotional well-being, or life transformation with AI as a guide, coach, or support. This resonates with me, not as like I don't use OpenAI or Anthropic as my life coach, but man, is it rewarding to just idea dump at it for an hour, just talk, and then go like, hey, can you organize this into something?
Organize this, make sense out of this. Oh, yeah. I do that
find
all
a
the time.
through line. That is absolutely game changing.
Or just like put some structure to my ramblings. Yeah, that's
Right.
huge. And then also, but I do use it sometimes to be like, all right, that rambling might be about like the shit I need to do and like the limited time I have. And then sometimes that order is, hey, can you like give me a ambitious timeline / personal strategy to get through this? I don't always follow it, but but it gives me a little more structure or like something. I need deadlines, I need deadlines, absolutely. And I can't always define them myself. So it's a useful tool for doing that as well.
Absolutely. I was surprised to see creative. I guess I'm not surprised in an Anthropic context because their models are not the best at creative expression. But I'd be surprised if the AI market broadly would be this.
That tracks with the Android thing.
Yeah. We also had another graph of, are people getting what they want? Where AI has delivered on their vision. Number 2 is AI hasn't delivered. And I get that. Like I get it from a Gen Pop sense. Like the general public has not seen AI meaningfully make the world better, right? And that's been the promise. If you're just looking down the barrel of like job losses and coding.
There's this interesting thing that happens where if like, I'll take the example of like creative fields, which are the people who consider themselves artists, many of whom I would argue are not artists, they are entertainers, but regardless, like in these creative fields, people like there's a big resistance to AI because it feels like, I shouldn't say why. Many potential reasons for why that resistance exists, but the idea, like if 5 years ago some tool came out in Photoshop or After Effects or insert creative software here that let you do your work way more quickly and let you do like experiment with things way faster than you ever.
It was just not called AI. Yeah.
And it was not called AI. It would have been like super popular and it would have made, every creative person in that field would have been talking about it with their other creative friends. And it would have been like, wow, this is incredible.
Right.
Now, the reason why it didn't happen this way is because if you're in 2020 and you are sitting on the early LLMs and you're like, okay, I need to make this super intelligence. I see the path to make this super intelligence, but I don't have the money to make this super intelligence. So what do I need to do? I need to convince investors to give me the money to make this super intelligence. So how do I do that? Okay, so I need to tell this story about the TAM of the technology I'm building. And I need to convince the investors that the TAM is all the jobs that exist.
Yep.
Like in order to make this technology happen, you needed to tell this story that upset everyone, right?
Well, also, it was always going to be worse at creative work at first, right? Because coding just has such this glorious database of like problem, iterative steps to get it to fix, proof problem is fixed, right? That you just don't have on the creative side. So you're always going to need more architecting.
is that there's coding it, like building an app itself is like sort of a creative endeavor. So you have to separate, like, can the model be creative versus you're being creative, and then can it implement your vision?
Right.
That latter one.
That's right.
There's a lot of data for that, right?
Yep.
And in various domains, there's different amount of data. So in coding, there is more data than there is in, like, okay, I have this. I've been creative. I have this vision for what I want in After Effects. Do it. And there's, like, not as much data for that, but the general concept of, I'm being the creative force, but then AI is 10x, 100x speeding up in the implementation within After Effects is possible. It's just like it's lacking the data, right?
I mean, this is my favorite rant on creatives on Twitter, which is if your whole ego is wrapped up in your ability to use a tool or use a very arduous workflow, like I'm really great at modeling in Blender, you're like, then you're a cog in the machine, right? You're not a creative visionary. And so what I think AI lets you do, and why there's been so much resistance, is a lot of these same voices, at least on Twitter, and this is a minority of artists. Most artists are much more reasonable, but Twitter is our madhouse of the loudest voices. A lot of them are like, I should still be valued for this rote work I can do, right? Instead of, and these same voices would also talk about how, like, if I just got funding for my indie movie, or if you just funded my indie game, you would see my brilliance. And I think a lot of the consternation is now there's nothing stopping. Like, cool, you got a vision. You think you're brilliant. You think you're the next Denis Villeneuve. You think you can do great. Frickin' prove it. And that's horrifying. And you retreat back to, like, actually, I just want to be valued because I'm really good at fire effects. And you're like, right, yeah, that era is ending. Like, I face the same thing in design, right? If you're great at, like, if you really went to art school and you're a great graphic, if you're a great UI designer, but your focus is on the visual specifics and not design systems or the UX path or any of that, or my own thing, right? I'm a UX guy. Well, I might be out of a gig here in a year or two, because if an AI can make a wide variety of A/B tests that happen all the time, that's already how Amazon and Facebook design a lot of times, is let's try 10 variations, let's hit our key metrics, and then let's select the metrics that can't go down, and then push through.
And the AI can try more variations and more. Right. It's just, and like as a product guy, it's the same conversation basically, right? It's like, can it do the experiments, right? When there are decisions that need to be made that face the user. Product and UX are both user-facing decisions.
Right.
And Eng is user-facing, but not directly user-facing, right? So it's like, when they're user-facing decisions to be made, the tools that we use to make those decisions are, let's try things. Let's do experiments, right? It's like, or let's do like user interviews or whatever. But then the user research turns into these actual in-product experiments that then you see what works best. And
design kind of had that moment with Facebook was one of the first companies to build out a really rapid A/B testing platform internally. And that caused a lot of consternation in design. No, it needs to be the designer's opinion. And all those voices died out. Unless you're building a bespoke website that's your own vision and you're just doing it as an art project, great. But in production level UI, the A/B testing approach won, right? And there were downsides. Like there was the famous cow pathing study that users couldn't form a mental model of Facebook because the buttons were moving around too much. So you can over A/B test, but that won. That's why AI. That's why people are like, oh, all UIs look the same. You're like, right? Because when you differ too far, it's net worse. Like users use the website worse. They get lost more. They can't find it. They don't prefer it.
Well, isn't it like Jacob's rule or something? It's not me, Jacob, but
not this Jacob, to be clear.
I remember seeing a poster somewhere in a design office that was like, Jacob's rule was like, oh, if there is some UI concept or UX concept to solve this problem, then use it as a law.
And that's good UX design, right? If I'm going to make a copy button, I don't suddenly use an image of a cow as the icon. Why was that? Like they're expecting the clipboard save. You're expecting a few different states, and there's debates on whether or not the floppy disk still works because we've aged out of computer users understanding what floppy disks are to some extent. But trash is always, or delete is always the garbage can, right? You have these things that people are used to, and changing it for artistic reasons doesn't make sense. But my point on the pure creatives was, if you were just really good at using a certain tool to get a similar effect over and over, you're like, oh, I figured out how to do tune shading in Blender. All right, man, but that was never the super valuable skill. Just ask the poor VFX houses that get dumped on all the time by the movie industry because people place more value on the creative visionary. So great, this is your chance to be the creative visionary. Like, make the thing. Even in a world of AGI, people are still going to want human created art that they use tools like AI to build, but that came from them and their brand or their image or their universe. AIs really, really, really struggle on their own to make fictional universes, right? If you want to make AI Star Wars, you're going to have to teach it a lot about how the world of Star Wars works, and that's going to come from somewhere. And maybe Star Wars is a bad example because there's a lot of training data out there, but if you were to create feature crew wars and you have all of this visionary idea of how the world works differently, like that is unique, and that will not be easily just done with an A/B test. They're not going to be like, well, what if the planets, what if Mars, would you prefer feature crew wars if the planet was 2 moons or 1 moon?
Right, but then that becomes a data, like, I would compare that more to does it understand your company context as an agent versus, like, do you have the feature wars agent, right?
Right. I mean, you can see it today in short form video, right? Like Gossip Goblin is a much higher production value than the AI slop videos that are like, here's the bear getting chased away by the chihuahua, right? Now, both succeed, but there's always going to be an audience for these more creative versions of the same art form.
Right. But if you can say, hey, yeah, I agree with the creativity piece, but on just like the understanding the universe you've built, like that, you know, there's like a,
right.
Like, to me, that's like okay, the universe I've built is some massive repo with like hundreds of thousands of lines of code. And one of the tier one problems for AI to solve is like, okay, you have this universe on disk, like get the important pieces before you build the universe a little bit more, right?
I mean, and to make it super tactical for writing, right? If you're going to write a new fictional novel, you used to have to write like 2 things at once, a bunch of things, but you would write your drafts and then you'd have your world Bible. But your AI would be fantastic at taking your dump of like, I'm just going to write a draft of this novel out and go full through. And it could not only make a world Bible out of that, it could also tell you where you contradicted your world physics or your sort of your map. Like, oh, you had someone going over here, but now they're over here. And those places, there was a lot of travel time.
Right. And the funny place we're at is like where it could generate some continuation of the script or whatever. And
yeah, it's kind of bad.
Mess up.
Right.
Right. And but mess up related to the world Bible. This is also, it happens in coding as well. And then you say, hey, that contradicts the Bible. And then it's like, you're absolutely right. Right. And then it can fix it. Right. And so we're still at that point where there's like this, you know, the human oversight and the iteration process is still like a benefit.
100%. I think we are back, by the way. We have vamped long enough that Cursor Glass.
Composer V2
in Cursor Glass.
Oh, so this was the planet. Okay.
Yeah. So this was the
How
planet.
long did it take? Does it give you a time?
Not easily.
Sometimes at the top.
Thought for a second.
No.
Dumped a bunch of shit. Maybe at the bottom I get a run.
No. It's just keeping that to itself.
Oh man, you guys didn't. Fine. All right. I thought they'd integrate a browser, right? You're gonna do a whole new UX move. So my question here is
uncommitted changes.
Yeah, I don't think it's set up a Git repo even. I think that you just dumped it into a folder somewhere.
Wait, what?
Oh, I just accidentally closed that. That's exciting. All right. All right, group projects, fine. I thought that would take me to the location, but no.
Yeah, does it have like a
users Chris projects procedural?
Wait, go back in this because this is like the create new screen. So go back to the sidebar and see.
Well, I hit the little archive button. That's why it's screwing up.
Oh.
See this little, you can archive it.
Oh, yeah. That'll do it.
Yeah. But I could just go open it in folder and
There you go. So for anybody who's joined since we kicked this off, because it's been a while of vamping, we sent our normal procedural planet prompt, but using the new Cursor Composer V2 model. And we want to see what it was able to put together, and if it's frontier or near frontier, what's the sort of quality level of the output.
right. It's a procedural planet.
Did it create files?
Yeah, it did. Tell me how to run it. Is it Vite?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
The project root. Running the app. Oh, that's just the name of it. Okay. Well, where's my terminal? Jesus, man.
Moment of truth.
Wow, we're gonna install for a sec here, so that's super exciting. 15 packages.
Done it.
All right.
Okay.
There you go.
That's not bad.
It did run in the browser.
Not bad at all.
I think.
Frankly, I would say this is one of the better ones we've gotten.
Well, is it though? I don't think the water's moving.
Check the water. Because the clouds are solid. Like the layers are separated. The terrain has biomes.
Clouds are good. But this, I don't think the water's moving at all. Right? You look around the rim here.
It's hard to see.
Yep. You could send it a follow-up. The land
Wait,
and water.
wait, before you send the follow-up,
Yeah.
let's just go straight challenge mode.
Okay.
Because that'll be more exciting. And then we'll be able to see. It does look a little Google Earthy. Like,
Yep.
Chris, you know. Yeah. And then Der Straber in chat says this is referring back to this kind of idea of like it having, you having to correct the model on you're absolutely right moment, right? Of like, oh, you notice a mistake it made and then it fixes it. And it's still not, I agree that it's still not good at noticing the contradiction on its own. If you don't catch it, nobody will. Some of these like code review tools are pretty good for this, where like, there's this like intuitive human sense of like, okay, well, if X model, like, okay, GPT 5.2, if GPT 5.2 didn't notice it, introduce this problem as it was coding, then GPT 5.2 reviewing the code wouldn't be able to find the problem. But like, that's not really the case, right? Like the same model is often able to make its own response better in sort of a loop, like on the sort of inference scaling track.
Yep.
But then I saw something today about how somebody was using Grok as like the reviewer because it was better at that, but not so good at writing code. And so then you can also mix models, like, but yes, this problem still exists where like the code review tools and like the loops of like self-review have not fully solved this problem that Der Straber is pointing out of like,
I think I broke it.
The human needs to be there to say, hey, this is a problem, right?
Yep.
And we're frankly nowhere near, and this doesn't mean it couldn't happen quickly, but like we're nowhere near like architectural taste matching humans and like long-term, like really long horizon planning matching
Jacob
humans.
runs into this all the time.
Oh my God. I get so angry at the AIs where it's like, I'll like be working with them for like a few hours and it's like, oh, like individual feature requests going great, right? And then it's like, okay, we need to like do something that just like implicitly requires a little bit of re-architecting. And I'll even like walk it through a little bit, like, okay, what do we need here? Like what needs to change? And then it'll do like very stupid things or like, add like legacy support. And then it's just like super brittle, like, okay, like a bunch of if statements. Okay, well, if we'll also accept this format, we'll also accept this format. That's one failure mode. There's also just like generally like hacky things. Like one of the best ways to get good performance out of these models is to say like, hey, here are the tests you need the test to pass. But then if the tests aren't passing easily, then sometimes it'll do these crazy hacks up to and including cheating the tests to make the thing pass so that it can finish. Yeah. We haven't fully solved coding yet, but we are close.
Okay, we're back. We're walking on the surface. That took very little time, and
That was a
it's still
concerningly
running.
little
It's
amount of
still
time.
running. I'm sorry. It's still running. It's confusing.
Okay.
We are step 1 of 4. This will probably be our final display of the night, so we can expect this to take a few minutes, or not. What? Oh, it wants to test it quick. All right.
Yeah, let it test.
Hey, at least it doesn't have the PowerShell mistake anymore. The hard part about being on Windows, because this was my gaming PC, right? So it's naturally Windows, is that PowerShell was not as supported as the terminal.
Right.
It would screw up commands constantly. Completed 4 of 4 to-dos. Just as we started the podcast, press X to doubt. I don't buy it. We'll find out. Walk on the surface. Oh, buddy.
Oh God.
Oh, we are pitching and yawing. We're going fast, though.
I'll give it the clouds look nice.
I can't turn, though.
And there is water. To your point from before, there is water.
I cannot turn my head.
Yeah, it looks like the turn is doing a little bit of a roll thing instead of a
Yeah,
yaw.
it's like, oh, Jesus.
Oh God. Oh God.
I'm upside down.
I'm getting nauseous just watching this.
And it's even split screen.
Chad, are we getting nauseous right now?
Yes. Okay, well that hurt. Yeah, I mean, you can get whatever result you want on the planet, but the challenge mode really not
I will give
there.
it. I think
It
this
gave me
was
a quest.
I think this is better than we did when we did our like Kimmy 2.5 planet.
Oh my gosh. Am I glued to the terrain?
You are glued.
Also, this is a very low atmosphere. This thing is just on me. Okay, we're running across the world. Oh no! I fell in the donut at the top of the world.
You're in like a black hole. Oh my God. In chat, Der Schreiber asked an interesting question, which is, in our experience, what coding paradigms do we find models tend to prefer? Is it like object-oriented? Is it functional? Is it procedural? You know, I don't know if like the human-facing coding paradigms are, if in my experience, I haven't found that they have like crazy preference for one over the other. What I've found is that it's like things that it can validate. Like it can easily write a script that it can test. Right.
Yeah, I haven't pushed it to the limits on this, but my general sort of rule is it is the best at web dev. Like it loves web dev.
Oh, of course,
Way
yeah.
more
It definitely
than
loves
anything
web
else.
dev. But
Like,
so
it's
do I.
Like
so.
an order of magnitude better at web dev than anything that'd be local.
I mean, these things are web native, and yes,
like even if you
absolutely.
tell it you want a locally running app, it'll make an Electron app. Like it won't. It's not gonna like build me a Windows binary unless I really want it to.
Right. And I think a lot of those things are also like it is following the trends of the industry, right? Like you'll see, you use a lot more Electron apps these days than you did.
Well, it's the biggest market, right? Like,
well, but it's not just the biggest market, right? It's like, well, the Electron app can, it's just like multiple birds with one stone, right? So
right.
Whether it's Electron or React Native, like these things kind of took over the industry in a way that leads to there being more training data available for those paradigms. And then that's where models are best. Models are also very web native. So, like this there's this function of like the source code for some desktop app is not as readily available to the training runs of these models as like the source code for a closed source app that happens to be deployed on the web. So that's part of it as well. But back to there was a part of the question that was like procedural, and I do think procedural is interesting because it lets the model operate at a higher abstraction level, where it's able to remember from training data. Oh, these at this abstraction level, this function or this approach or these parameters were able to lead to like a functional planet in like a couple hundred examples I saw or something like that. And like humans benefit a lot from these higher abstraction levels, and I think models do as well. So like procedural, I've found to be an interesting approach to get the models to like kind of punch above their weight class in coding, especially if you're like in a specific domain that benefits from procedural things. But that's my personal experience.
Well, I did successfully collect a beacon before I fell back into the pit of depression.
Hell yeah.
So it exists. It works. I'm kind of mad on it. I don't get Glass at all. I don't know why they did this. This feels.
I don't know why they said it because I don't see any glass.
Broadly kind of dumb. The model itself is like, I don't know. It's the classic problem of you're clearly not as good as Claude or 5.4. So why would I use you?
Mm-hmm.
I guess if I had some. Like the problem with this theory that you're going to use a lower cost model to like do lower level coding tasks is I don't believe it. Like, I don't think any of the models are any model beyond the frontier. And even then, I don't know that those are good enough for me to just trust to go handle a task and succeed. In the future, that might be the case.
This is a strategy tailored to Cursor more than it is tailored to the Cursor user, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's like the main problem is if you're saying like, hey, we're seeing this business issue where we're not able to keep up with the subsidization of like the subsidies that are being provided by the labs. So in order to compete, being able to switch models isn't enough. People are willing to buy a $20 a month Claude and a $20 a month OpenAI subscription. So like, okay, shit, we can't compete with the fact that we have both Claude and ChatGPT in our client. So what are we going to do? We're going to make this model that's like cheaper and the better cost to value ratio. But people are looking for value more than they are for cost, especially if the cost is under the human cost.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, like I could buy, given a few years, that because you hear these arguments made on Twitter all the time. They're like, oh my God, I would use 5.4 as the manager, and then I'd send off a bunch of sub agents that are a lesser model. But the problem is the current top tier models are just getting good enough that you might be able to trust them to autonomously do the task. Right. So like for that reality to be happening, we must be a year or two in the future where, oh yeah, I can trust GPT-6 mini to execute scoped coding tasks, get reviewed by 6. Like that, you have to get to that world. I don't think we're there. I just don't think any model beneath the frontier is there. And so when Cursor has Composer 2, I'm like, yeah, but I don't trust 5.4, which I actually like better than Anthropic sometimes, especially for general conversation. I don't trust that enough to just run roughshod on the code base. I don't trust Opus 4.6. They're great models. And so I'd have to have the performance of an Opus 4.6 in a mini model for that reality to be true. Unless I'm some hype machine guy from Thailand or like, expat living in Thailand trying to make money making faceless YouTube videos or something, then maybe you're like, oh, okay, cool. I have Mini write my subtitles or something. But there you go. You saw Glass. Not very glassy.
Not very glassy. And then to catch up on chat a little bit, Kai Cow, did I say that right? Asks if we've run our tests with tiny class, like less than 4 billion parameter models. No, we have not.
No, not
so
really.
We haven't done like a Minimax 2.7. Maybe we should. Because I think it's
I mean, it
interesting.
could be fun
And that,
to do Karpathy's auto researcher on one of our research tasks and compare
nano
Yeah.
chat or nano whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, compare that to like let that run for a day or whatever, and then compare that to a 5.4 answer or something.
Right. Yeah, I think we should do more of that because as we're
Yeah.
seeing with things like the cost curve of like the Composer 2 or even just like the Kimmys of the world, you can get these sort of like quote non-frontier models that are performing at reasonable, interesting levels.
Yeah, I think that's right. There's also, I know we're running out of time on my end, but another one we may want to do a video of is Google has Stitch. That is their design tool.
Oh yeah,
that they were pushing.
It's like super Figma light.
Yeah, Figma stock just careened off a cliff at the announcement of this, understandably. There should be some better. Let me get you some.
Which is funny because Stitch has been around for quite a while, multiple years.
Yeah,
but they kind of relaunched it this week,
right?
To interesting effect. I mean, the funny thing is, I don't think it's not really a full product, right? Like the biggest advantage of this Stitch thing is that like it looks like Figma. It's got frames. You can like click on individual elements, but then you can't edit anything, right? Like
this is
the biggest advantage would be if you could actually edit it, and they don't have that functionality. So like,
this is the classic problem of all the design tools is like we make these really cool looking surfaces that you expect to be as interactive as Figma, and they're not. Even Figma Make doesn't succeed at this. And
Figma Make is awful at this. Yeah.
You had that's why that tool and this poor startup, because I'm going to forget their name, the vector-based output model was rad for that reason, because it outputted a true vector. It wasn't just this image. It was, you could modify all the points in the vector, and suddenly this is editable. And that's the future of design. Design, whether you're talking about UI or my buddy does marketing for like athletes, he runs their social media accounts. You construct an image or a video or a movie screen or a video image or a UI surface the same way, which is you layer a bunch of components on top of each other. So to make this super useful to a creative, your output needs to be layered. I need to have like, oh, okay, cool. You didn't just make a flat image and go, look, we're Photoshop. You got an image with the background and all the filters, and maybe there's some blur on it. Maybe there's the main object of the image, and then so on and so forth. Filmed the same way. Like, don't just output a VO3 video. That's not super useful to me. I need you to output audio as a separate layer. I might need your VFX pass there, and let me iterate on pieces of that. Otherwise, the biggest problem with these tools is I may find something wrong in the way the fire is being shown in this battle scene, but when I go prompt VO3 or Seed Dance, actually I haven't used Seed Dance, so I can't comment there, but if I go prompt VO3 to say, cool, this is great, but can you make the fire brighter? It should be blowing out the frame. I might get an entirely different battle scene or something radically changed, and that's just
right.
Makes
and
it
you're
very
gonna have to wait
hard.
a while.
Yeah, so when you look at like what Gossip Goblin or somebody does, they're making for their 2-minute video hundreds of renders because of how inefficient this process is. They're having to record their own audio. They're having to take an image from there and do a Higgs field lip sync thing. There's just a lot of stitching together right now because they're not outputting the pieces. They're just like, instead of outputting the Lego sculpture with all the pieces, they're taking a photo of their Lego build and being like, here you go. And you're like, well, no, I want to move blocks around. And you know this in 3D, right? It's often very similar where the model companies will be like, we can output 3D models. And you're like, cool.
Yep.
But is the topology any good? Can I animate the model? Is there any rigging? Whoa, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
The splats are the same way.
Yes. Yep.
It's like, what can you do with a splat?
There's a lot of real great walk-in demos. You can walk around them.
You can walk around a splat.
You got your drink spiked with LSD. It starts to kind of get this rounding effect because it's all a giant orb projection. But
it's all these like PNG versus SVG, right?
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, the SVG seems to be like the right route, at least in the medium term. Until we have like AGI, they can just do it perfectly or very quickly make your edits very targetedly, right?
I guess I kind of don't get why Stitch isn't just like, I actually thought Replit had a better idea here, which was make a canvas and then load the website essentially 4 or 5 times. You're just showing the different views, show it in mobile, show it this way, show it that way, and then have set up your repo intelligently so that when the user selects a button and says, well, hey, I want this to be button style should be more rounded. It's like, okay, cool. Go to the parent button style for all primary buttons and modify it. Seems like that would be the answer. It's just, you could do this with a website right now. It's just the dev tools can be scary to creatives, and you should probably drop a canvas, render the website in a bunch of different poses or positions, and there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think the difference would be like, it seems like Stitch is moving towards, okay, you can like actually drag the elements or like click on them and then edit, like more like lovably.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But yeah, I think, yeah, it is an interesting middle ground at the moment.
But any last comments in the chat before we sign off for Friday?
Yeah, Kaku was mentioning that like what we were talking about with the like video edit or image edit, that Qwen image models do this. Like they sort of do. They've been trained to sort of be decent editors, but like things change in this scene sometimes, and also you like wait a while for the regen, right? Like sometimes you just want to make a small tweak. But we'll see. We'll see if it's unclear whether the sort of purely generative model versus the like generate some machine interpretable format that can then be edited by a human, like which wins in the long run. In the AGI future, it seems like the just purely generative thing wins, but like how long does the benefit of something that's editable and parsable hold out? It seems like today there's still a benefit.
I have an SVG benchmark to generate data set for architectural drawings. It's not quite that good yet. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
God, I should remember the name of that AI company. I feel bad.
Quiver AI.
Quiver AI. There you go. Try your benchmark on them. Just see if they.
Yeah, try it with Quiver.
That'd be interesting to see, because they have the best SVG output I've seen. Doesn't mean there's not better, but I haven't heard of any better.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything better for SVG. They clearly went hard there.
Which is good. I mean, that's what you should do as one of these smaller labs, is go find a niche, go find a corner where the market is so underserved. Another one we should try on the channel, Beautiful.ai, just got some funding.
Beautiful.ai.
And it's, I think there's slides. I think it's all...
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So it's like AI presentations. I had some friends say they were using this at work, and might be worth a look on the channel. So leave a comment if you want us to dig into this. See what kind of presentations we can make here.
We'll see how long this lasts.
Yeah, I mean, I think the shelf life of a company like this is measured in weeks, but could be some fun weeks.
Yeah.
But I think with that, I have to get off to go make some dinner for the family. So thank you all so much for showing up as always. It's always a pleasure to do a live stream here and talk to you all and hear where your head's at.
Yeah. And thanks for dealing with the little time change,
Totally.
We're trying to keep this as consistent as possible, but sometimes real life comes in and wrecks things like that. So
yeah,
appreciate the patience.
Yeah, so like and subscribe, help the channel grow so that we can grow this thing to the size where we are not beholden to other calendars.
Yeah, and let us know, what you want to see on the channel. We're always super responsive to feedback, so let us know what you want to see, and we'll do our best to get it into our content schedule.
Yeah, happy Friday, everybody. Go burn some tokens.
Thanks for watching, everyone.